Have you ever tried to help someone, really help, and ended up feeling totally drained, maybe even a little resentful? It's a feeling that hits close to home for a lot of us. Well, today we're diving into a philosophy that says the problem isn't you. The problem is that our whole idea of what it means to help might be completely backward. So, here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll talk about that burnout from trying to help. Then, we'll tackle a huge misconception that might be causing it. After that, we get to the good stuff, a whole new approach that starts with listening, and we'll see why words can be more valuable than gold. And finally, we'll see how all this personal stuff fits into a much bigger picture of doing good. All right, let's get right into it. Starting with a feeling I think we all know a little too well, the sheer exhaustion that comes from trying to do the right thing. This is the big question, right? And it's exactly where the source material for this explainer kicks off. It highlights this really frustrating paradox. You set out with the absolute best intentions, you really want to make a difference for someone, but somehow you end up feeling tired, unappreciated, maybe even resentful. The very act of giving just leaves you feeling empty. And what happens is, you get caught in this nasty cycle. It all starts with you wanting to do good, but it spirals into this messy, tangled relationship. You're emotionally drained, you're physically exhausted, and the worst part? What you see as genuine, heartfelt help, the other person might just see as you interfering, or maybe even acting like you know better. Your good intentions just totally backfire, and you're left scratching your head wondering what went wrong. So, what is going wrong here? Well, according to the source we're looking at, the problem isn't that we're not trying hard enough. It's that we're working from a totally flawed blueprint, a deep misunderstanding of what real altruism even looks like in the world we live in today. You know the drill. When we hear the word altruism, our minds immediately jump to physical things. It's about giving money, cooking someone a meal, cleaning their house, putting their needs so far ahead of our own that we kind of disappear. It's an altruism of stuff and services.
But then, bam! The source makes this incredibly bold claim. It doesn't just tweak this idea, it throws it out the window, calling it, and I quote, a foolish act. The argument here is that this whole model of helping is a relic, it's outdated, and it just doesn't work anymore.
And this really reframes everything. That old way of helping, giving money, and doing things for people, the source says that actually creates dependency and burnout. That performing services for someone was great back in an era of pure scarcity, but now, it's just not the most effective way. This perspective argues that these well-intentioned acts, far from being the solution, are often the very source of the problem.
Okay, so if that's the wrong way to help, then what in the world is the right way? Well, this is where it gets really, really interesting. The source offers a powerful alternative.
And here it is, the big reveal. The starting point for genuine altruism, or itaheng as it's called, isn't about giving at all. It's actually about receiving. It begins with the simple, but let's be honest, incredibly difficult act of deeply and truly listening to another person without interrupting. And it's not some vague concept. There's actually a technique to it called the 10-to-3 rule. Think of it as a ratio. You listen for, say, 10 minutes, and your goal is to just let the other person completely empty out everything on their mind. You're literally helping them create a mental space. And only then, once that space is clear and they're receptive, do you offer your own quality words for maybe 3 minutes. Because you've created that opening, your words don't just bounce off, they actually sink in.
Now this is so crucial. Listening, in this context, is not passive. It's not about just sitting there quietly, waiting for your turn to talk. No, it's an active job. You are preparing the ground, tilling the soil, so that when you finally offer a piece of advice, it has a place to land and actually grow.
Which leads us right to the next big idea. Why is this exchange of words considered so much more powerful than any kind of material help you could offer? Think about it like this. 100 years ago, if someone was starving, giving them bread was the most profound act of kindness. But today, for many of us, the problem isn't an empty stomach, it's a cluttered, confused mind. The real scarcity we face is a poverty of clarity and direction. In that kind of world, the right insight, a single word delivered at the perfect moment, well, that's priceless. And this all builds to what is honestly the heart of this entire philosophy. It's a massive statement. The greatest gift in the universe is the exchange of words. That elevates a simple conversation to the highest possible form of helping another human being.
And let's be clear, we're not just talking about idle chatter here. This is about using that unique human ability to speak to connect on a much deeper level. It's about providing the right words after you've created the space for them to be heard, to help someone find clarity, to get unstuck, to find their own path forward. That, according to the source, is what truly meaningful help actually looks like.
So for our final section, let's zoom out a bit. The source takes this powerful one-on-one idea and expands it into a much broader concept of contribution, showing us there are really two different ways to do good in the world.
First up is itahang. This is what we've been focused on. It's that personal, direct altruism for the individual right in front of you, using that powerful listening and speaking method. And the idea is that when you do this right, you get something back too, a sense of fulfillment or insight that's described metaphorically as a gift from heaven.
But then, there's this other, bigger level of doing good. It's called Igangonhik. This isn't about the person in front of you anymore. This is about creating something lasting, something of such high quality, like a great work of art, a revolutionary teaching, a scientific breakthrough, that it continues to benefit all of humanity for generations to come.
And you can see the difference so clearly here. Itahang is for one person, and Gangongik is for humanity. The method for one is dialogue, for the other it's creating a lasting work. The impact is immediate personal transformation versus enduring societal guidance. It's basically the difference between changing a life and changing the world.
So when you put it all together, the big takeaway is a call for a complete shift in perspective. It's about moving away from that old model of material giving, which, as we've seen, so often just leads to burnout, and instead leaning into the truly profound, transformative power of mindful communication. And that leaves us with one final provocative question to chew on. In a world that constantly measures our generosity by what we give away, what if the greatest gift we could ever offer another person isn't in what we give at all, but in how deeply we're willing to listen?